You don't need to make up something brand new every single time you create content. You got to be thinking intentionally about where can this fit in somebody else's ecosystem. But because you're hyper-focused on that, the book speaks to her in a way that says, I need this actually. And then that ends up bringing you in for a workshop. And then you capture that workshop and you post that as more content.
Yes, more content.
And then that more content.
Invite
because when people see you by beholding become
Doing
changed,
the-
when people see you doing the thing, they're like, this is how it all works. I was on a coaching call with a client and we were talking back and forth about their branding, talking back and forth about their signature phrases, different things that they wanted to be known for. And they kept on trying to reinvent. Well, you know, for this, I was thinking about going for this angle. For this, I was thinking about going for this angle. I was like, bro, you don't need to reinvent every single time. You want to be able to have a theme. You want to have a flow. And I want to read this this definition because I feel like it really hits the mark. It says effective branding is about consistent repetition of a single core message across different mediums, contexts, rather than creating a new message every single time you put out content. You want people to feel like, yep, that's them. Okay. So if they catch you in an audiogram or in a quote meme or in a reel short, if they catch you on a podcast, there's going to be a theme. There's going to be a thread of consistency that you become known for. It's not just a concept or a particular set of value, but it's also a feel. It's also a level of quality. And one of the things I love about branding, especially for yourself as a personal brand, is recognizing what are some of those themes for yourself and how you might be able to put it out in a book or as an interviewee or as a public speaker. And we have with us today somebody who is doing all of the above. And that is Dorian Stewart. How are you?
I am well. Okay. How are you guys?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. And Dorian has her company is called Dorian Inspires LLC. She does children's books, but not only children's books.
Correct.
And then there's a thread there that leads over to workshops and facilitation.
Yeah.
She does library readings.
I do.
I mean, this is crazy.
A lot of things.
She works alongside a number of different kids programs, but then also transitions.
Yeah.
And you have a book that's not quite a kid's book, but it's still for young people.
It is still for young people. And I guess my thread is positive affirmation.
I love it.
So
and it carries from the children's books into what's the name of that other book, by the way?
How not to get
That's
hired.
the one. How not to get hired. How not to get hired.
Yes.
One of y'all need to read that.
Yeah.
You might be doing some of the things that she highlights in that book. But we're excited to have you with us today. And of course, I'm with my lovely co-host.
Hi, y'all.
Kirk Mighty Nugent is with us today. We're excited for you to be back again. You know, she gets to grace the seat every now and again.
Every now and then, you know.
Oh, man. We will be happy to have Taina back, but you know, we try to mix it up a little bit here, and we're excited for another episode of the How It All Works podcast. I get to serve as your host. My name is Kirk Nugent. And man, we've been just kind of navigating our way through several different aspects of not only how to create content and what to think about from a content perspective, but then the impact of content. We got a chance to talk with Kimon Hines and how to structure a launch. We got a chance to talk to Myron Edmonds and what is that key ingredient that coaching provides that really helps you to take it to another level. But then we also got a chance to talk to Don Daniel, which was more on the impact side of things, right? And I had a recent conversation with him. He was like, man, I got to come back and share some more details. He's got some really crazy stuff going on. He on that impact side of things, I want to make sure that entrepreneurs and businesses fully understand and leverage what content can bring to the table. And so today, as I mentioned, we want to talk about that ecosystem that you're creating that is that common thread throughout your branding. And in order to do that, I wanted to kind of start off, Dorian, by asking a little bit about some of just give us a backstory, like the backdrop. We kind of talked about the fact that you do children's books, public speaking, some of those things, but just kind of give people a window into what Dorian's day looks like right now.
Wow. So right now, so it's really about kind of reaching out to schools and libraries and making sure that I'm reading books that elevate our children and also supports teachers and educators.
Right.
Many of our kids walk in with heavy things due to society, their neighborhood,
A lot of
their
stuff
home.
happening right now. Yeah.
A lot of things are happening. Kids are hearing piece of it through conversations.
And they're having these conversations too.
And
Yes, they are.
they're
Yeah.
having it themselves. And so it's so important that our children understand that we hear them. And if they're struggling with something, here are some positive affirmations. Here are some things that we can do. Plus, also, it also helps to open up conversations.
Yes, it does.
We assume our kids are just like, oh, in one ear and out the other, but they
Yeah.
are processing things as well. And so we really want our parents and educators to really take the time to talk to them so they understand what's going on around them. They're scared. They're uncertain, and so that starts my day.
That's good.
That's
Th-
awesome.
and these are things that are relevant, especially as you look at your target audience and target market. Understanding the pain language of those you're speaking
Yes.
to is critical to be able to create content that is specific to their needs.
Right.
And it almost it feels like when they begin to watch it or consume it, whether it's a book, whether it's an interview, or it's content. When they start consuming it, they feel like, man, they're talking directly to me. Yes. And
Yeah.
so that kind of research, that what I like to call an obsession, healthy obsession,
Yeah.
of making sure you understand it as much, if not more, than the target audience does. That's a recipe for success. Thank you for sharing that. Okay, so
Yeah.
how does the rest of the? I mean, so you kind of start your day with looking at some of those pieces, reaching out to
Yeah.
different people.
And
What are
then
some
the-
of the other things that
The
kind of make it
other
up?
part is really also still reaching out on how to help high school and college students.
Got it.
They too are struggling. They
It's
are
true.
looking for summer jobs.
Yes, they are.
They
Internships.
It's
are
true.
at the cusp of getting ready to graduate.
Mercy.
And some of them may not have a job yet. They may have tried and still don't have a job
It's the
yet.
truth. It's
And
the
don't
truth.
know why.
I don't know why. That's the other thing. And so beginning to do workshops with them and talking to them about what they think are very small, no big deal
Nice.
mistakes.
Yeah, yeah.
And what a hiring manager
Yes.
thinks about it.
Yes,
which
because-
they fail to understand those little
True.
things.
Those dynamics.
Because what they don't realize is they are in completely different generations.
Yeah.
So you have to appeal to the generation that you're interviewing with.
Correct.
Yeah.
Because there's certain things that are like, for one generation, for their generation, it's like, no big
It's
deal.
not a
Yeah.
big deal.
Good,
You know,
good.
for someone like myself, I used to work in healthcare, and someone showing up to my interview 5 minutes late tells me I've created a workflow for my patients. And if you show up at
Yeah.
my interview late, you're going to show up to work late,
And
which
that's
means
not
you're
gonna
going to
work.
mess up my entire workflow. The doctors are mad, patients are mad.
Absolutely.
And so I'm not hiring you. But I think it's also important that when kids recognize, or not kids at this point, these are young people,
Yeah.
recognize they make a mistake, how do they get to recover?
Yes.
Hiring managers love to see and hear you
That's
recognize your mistake
Yeah.
and then recover, because we all make mistakes.
Yeah.
Things happen.
Yeah, how do you recover?
But how
That's
do you
really good.
recover from it? And so that's all included in the workshops that I do.
Nice.
So that they understand, okay, look, I messed up. Rather
Love
than just
that.
like, all right, I messed up, on to the next. If you really want this dream job, this is not who I am. I want you to know that I will be on time.
Boom.
Give me that next
the
chance,
opportunity.
you know, an opportunity.
Whatever. Yeah, even if I have
Yeah.
to start at a lower rung, give me an opportunity. I love this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's I wanted to ask a question, but it just occurred to me. Let me. I would almost want to hear you say in your own words. Well, how does content fit into the strategy for what you do? So you're talking about workshops, sometimes keynote, right?
Yeah.
Other times interviews on TV, right? You just got an award from TVL, which
Yes,
is pretty dope.
congratulations.
Congratulations on that. But yeah, how does content fit into that realm, into that world? Like sometimes content is the tip of the spear for, at least for me, for marketing, right? Bringing
Yeah.
leads into the business. For many, it's a combination approach, and it sounds like for you, at least, some of it is direct contact. But how does content fit into that overarching strategy?
So I think it's it's kind of marketing as well. So it's a combination, because my goal is to really empower young people, whether it's
it.
with children or even adults.
boom.
And so when I actually create content about this is why you shouldn't show up
Yeah,
to work
yeah,
late,
yeah.
or
Yeah.
this is why you need to have a question. Know what job you're actually applying for.
Mercy.
Don't have mom fill out your
True,
resume and you
yeah.
don't know what it's
Yikes.
about.
Ooh,
Right?
Never really thought about that concept.
So,
yeah.
you know, all of those things matter. And so I want to empower and uplift them so that they go into interviews with confidence,
yeah, yeah.
but also then so that, you know, they can also then look for me and say, hey, or I'm putting myself out there to say, I do workshops. So
Yeah, 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 yeah.
I do
Yeah.
keynotes and I, you know,
Being visible.
being
Yeah.
visible as well. So it's a combination of me teaching, but then also like, hey, I also
Yeah.
go out.
That's
and
good.
And what I like about what you do, because I believe you do content really well, you post very consistently, you know, what you're about to do. So, for example, you're about to go on TVL. You post content specifically saying, hey, I'll be on TVL. Make sure you tune in. Or you just got into the visitor center. I'm not sure. You got into some location, but you're posting, you're creating reels about that, which I think is really great. And then when you're posting about your children's books, you're posting little scenarios of what happens and how you approach it in your books, which I think is also amazing.
This is
She-
that's
she
what I love
posts
is like it's
multiple
the
things.
yeah, and then
Yeah.
it's like teasing out that comment
Yes.
string of the different things that people can know you for. And that's the thing. What one of the concepts that I teach on this channel is the billboard versus library concept, right? So billboard is just that, you know, as they're driving by, you catch that attention for just a second, and somebody might glance up and they might see it. And depending on how flashy you make it, they might hold their attention,
Yeah.
but they're still driving by.
Yeah.
And the next week when they drive by, that billboard might be changed out to something else,
Yeah.
total different brand. So
Yeah.
it's rented property. But when you're building a library,
Yes.
a library is always there. It's there's a system for people to be able to find where the value is, and people can come back to it at any given time. The library is always going to be there. We hope, but for right now, that analogy holds.
Yes.
Until something drastic happens. But that concept of I want to be seen in these ways. I want to be known in these ways, and I want to kind of bring those breadcrumbs back to my primary thing. The books, the facilitation, the workshops, and of course speaking, those really help to kind of diversify your overall content strategy. And I love that. I absolutely love that. There's so much there for us to kind of sink our teeth into. Just walk through. I know we talked about some of the books already, but just kind of walk us through what are some of the names of the books that you have currently done, and then we'll dive into one other thing here that I want to touch on.
So I've written the Promise Spouse series. So it's a 12-part series and really just a faith-based kind of positive affirmations. And then I've created a I Am Made, which means I am motivated, affirmed, determined, and empowered.
Nice.
And it's more of an inspirational, which allows me to get into public schools and be able to speak and do author readings at public
See, it's
schools.
very critical.
Yes.
See, this is what I'm saying in terms of, so there's this common thread amongst the content, right? So you catch that, but then also you're thinking with the end in mind. So
Yes.
I have this faith-based series, but
Yes.
that may not allow me to be in certain circles.
Exactly.
And so, you know, this is why it's like for years I didn't tell people how it all works came from. I knew where it came from, Romans 8:28, but for everybody who's just out here saying how it all works, but they didn't realize they're saying something Christian. But the point is you couch principles, right?
Yes.
Ethical, high integrity principles together. Those are things that a broader audience can be attracted to.
Yes.
So that's such a really great
That's really
strategy.
good.
Yeah.
In
Know
terms
what your
of
end goal is,
and
and
then
then
understand how those leads will come in.
exactly.
Ooh, really good.
And
Really
so
good.
it's so important also that with that series, there's going to be all types of content, but many of those kids have some disabilities.
yes,
Okay.
And so we're also making sure that they don't necessarily see themselves as being helped,
yeah.
but they are the hero in the story.
That's good.
So there's a little boy in a wheelchair. He does not have anyone push him to the to the finish line. He does it himself.
Let's go.
And so
Let's
it's
go.
important that, again, we're empowering our young people
Yeah.
to be able to be the heroes either for themselves or
Yeah.
for others. It's
Man.
not always the opposite,
love
like I'm
that.
pushing them. And so that's
I love
important.
that. I love that.
And then also the how not to get hired. So the
Right.
how not to get hired, like we talked about before,
It gets you into another
level, and also empowering them that one, you see your mistakes.
Yeah.
I'm gonna break it down to you. Why it's your mistake?
Yeah,
What
there
what
is.
this
There it
means
is.
to us, not why it's a mistake, but what we think about your mistake.
word.
And then more importantly, how to empower you to make that step, recognizing your mistakes, owning it, and then coming back and being empowered again to maybe try again or move to that next.
And there's one other thing I want to let people know. Your books, it's not like she's just sitting there coming up with these stories. Some of them you've actually had a child therapist kind of go through it, vet it, and give you, pointers like, hey, this is where you need to do this.
Yeah.
Like,
Correct.
she has
that healthy
people
obsession
who
I'm talking
are,
about.
experienced and knowledgeable about that specific thing. So your books are not just random. Like, they are well done.
But this is so great. I there's so many different things to tease out here, but one of the things I would want you to kind of share is walk us through, so there is the intentionality of knowing, okay, let me put out a book like this with a goal in mind, but then what has been the practical, like on the ground experience? So you put out the book, How Not to Get Hired. Yeah. What doors has that opened? Where has that led you to? What places have you been able to serve because of that book?
Absolutely. So the How Not to Get Hired is so many of those stories in the chapters I've actually lived. Like I've been the hiring manager.
And this is something we teach here as well. Your story is your content. Yes.
At the person, like, are you kidding me?
Wow.
And what's cool is before she even wrote the book, you would post on social media consistently, guys. She would post, this is how not to get hired. And she would post a scenario that actually happened
And
on
I didn't
social
know
media.
that I was going to write a book.
Write a
That
book
is
based
When
on
I was
that.
putting it
I
out
love
there
that.
saying 16 pages of a resume with 1 year of experience, where are we going with
16
this?
pages.
And had it colorized. So each page had a different color, yellow, purple, green. It was crazy.
And we loved it when you were posting those on social media. So glad you made it into a book.
And I love that. It's like content begets content.
Yes.
Yes.
But being able to see that, I think somebody out there right now is starting to recognize, like, man, dang, I actually have a series.
Yes.
Because I'm thinking of a mutual friend right now, Danita, who's constantly writing these posts all over social media. And those could easily be books.
Yep.
It's
they
like,
can.
wow, because those books have deep-seated lessons.
Yeah.
Correct.
Anyway, continue. So yes, you put out this book.
So
How did that? What are the? Walk us through that process.
So I put out the book, and all of a sudden, I happened to go to an event where I met this lady who works for the city of Huntsville, and she was like, "Hey, can I just see your book?" So handed her a book, and I'm busy vendoring, and she's like, "I love this book. I need you to come and do a workshop for my new leaders." So new team leads and supervisors,
it.
Yeah.
and then
So
took the book
this is
from a
gold.
totally
Yeah.
different angle. Like, this is why you don't hire them. This is what this means.
Yeah.
So they're new.
because these are new leaders,
These are
and they're
new
going to be in a
leaders.
capacity of hiring.
Making those major decisions.
Wow.
Never thought about that. Come
Flipping it.
And so we
Flipping it.
flipped the
Yeah.
whole book and then said, okay, this is why you don't hire these people.
Speaking
And
to
if
the-
they're not correcting themselves, you definitely don't want to hire them.
So good.
So we, flipped the script on that, and then began going to high schools
Right.
and different colleges.
Yeah.
I'm this month I'm actually gonna be speaking at North Carolina A&T.
Let's go.
About interviewing and the
That's
skills,
amazing.
because again, they're getting ready to graduate.
That's gold.
And they're like, all right, I spent my
Oh,
4
my
years. I
word.
got this loan, and in 6 months,
I gotta say a couple of things here. Number one, so like even for that scenario with was it city? You said City of Huntsville? Or-
Yes, the city of Huntsville.
Did you capture content?
I did.
You see what I'm talking
Love
about?
it.
So you see
I
what this is what
did.
I want people to
Yes.
kind of, the title of the show is exactly what we do here. How it all works. This is how it all works. See, you write the book. You go to the vendor show.
Yes.
I didn't miss that part. You got to put yourself out there.
You do.
You got to put yourself out there. I can't tell you how many people is like, I've done the thing and now I'm just kind of sitting around waiting
can't.
for
You can't.
everything to come to me.
Yeah.
No,
No,
you
you
got
cannot.
to put yourself out there.
You do.
Whether it's by content or by just networking, being in the
Yes.
places and spaces where people are.
Listen, I tell this to friends all the time. Vendoring is not all about money.
It is not.
It is about who you meet, whether it's even if
It's
you don't make
marketing.
the potential sale,
Yeah.
who's next to you? Are you
Yeah.
making friends with the people on left and right of you, in front of you?
Night.
And that's what I keep telling
feel
people.
another book coming
That's
on.
what marketing is. Marketing isn't you're putting money out there and expecting to get that sale today. Marketing is putting the groundwork,
You're
doing
planting
the
a seed.
networking.
The long game.
It's a long game.
It's the long game.
Exactly.
It's
good.
Finish. Go ahead.
It's the long game.
So yes. I didn't miss that part. You went to the vendor show. At the vendor show, somebody sees the book. That person is a decision maker.
She is
That
a
person
decision maker.
has a gap in their operations, and your book, unbeknown to you,
Yes,
know.
didn't even
fills
know.
that gap. But because you are hyper focused, have a healthy obsession about your target audience's problem, I want you to kind of see the whole thing, how it all works. But because you're hyper focused on that, the book speaks to her in a way that says, I need this actually.
Exactly.
And then that ends up bringing you in for a workshop. And then you capture that workshop and you post that as more content.
Yes,
More
y'all.
content.
And then that more content. because
Invite
when
you.
people see you by beholding become
Doing
changed,
the-
when people see
yes.
you doing the thing, they're like, I need her to do the thing. We had Pierre Quinn here some time ago.
Coach.
Yeah,
And Pierre said to us his first book, Leading While Green, was a $9.99 business card.
Yep. You're right.
It's a business card.
You're right.
He said
You're
that
absolutely right.
he said the first few speaking engagements and workshops he booked because of that book, just like
Yeah.
you in the vendor show, they did not read it. They told him afterwards, it was like, no, I just saw the title. And I was like, I've got
Wow.
green leaders.
Ooh, that's good.
I've got green leaders.
Mm-hmm.
Come and talk to my green leaders.
That really plays
And I
into
was
the
just
whole
like,
aspect of you've
oh.
got to title your things
Boom.
right
It
where
has-
they're thinking. Like
And that's why her book, How
Listen,
Not to Get Hired. So
It
that
automatically
lady
stops
sees
people.
It does.
It automatically stops
It
people.
does.
And they're like, why would you name it that? Because showing up late, that's how you do not
How-
get hired.
how not to get
that's
hired.
how you not get hired.
Yeah.
You
and
know,
then for her, she saw it from the other angle
she did.
and used it in a way that you hadn't even originally
I didn't
anticipated.
even see
That's
that.
This is
gold.
what content does, y'all. I want y'all to see the fuller picture.
Yes.
I don't want to. There's so many tangents to kind of chase here now because sometimes you're like, I want to make sure I catch everything. But one of the things that you have also been able to do is leverage what you're doing in these spaces to not only land you on other stages, but also for the awards. We mentioned
Yeah.
the TVL award. And I think there's something to be said for having a strategy that includes kind of a kitchen sink, like all of the above. You're not leaving any stone unturned.
Yeah, she's
So
not.
many people who are doing content are not doing the vendor shows. They're not networking locally. They're not, going to the different business meetings, networking parties, or things like that. And they haven't necessarily done the work to set up an LLC.
Oh,
So they're just putting content out. And they have a solution, but they don't necessarily have a business undergirding it. And I just want people to kind of this is the foundation. This is everything. Don't ask why you're not getting certain results when you haven't done the full
work.
thing.
Correct.
Yes.
And that's so critical. So talk about what an award like. Let's just take the Tennessee Valley Living. What's the name of the award? I have it here. I forgot
best
it now.
author.
That's right.
Yes.
That's it. TVL's 2026 Best Author by WAFF 48. So talk about, so you got that award. Well, you were in the running for the award.
Yes.
Had to post on
True.
socials.
Encourage people to
which
vote.
also comes
Yes.
back to content.
Yes.
And then you win, and you
More
took the
content.
time to get photos done.
Absolutely.
Your own graphics created.
Yes, she
Absolutely.
did.
I say this to people all the time. It's only a thing if you make it a thing.
Correct.
I totally agree.
Correct.
Yes.
It's only a thing if you like
Make it a big deal,
Make it a
y'all.
big
Come
deal.
on.
Make it a big deal.
Yeah,
Listen,
yeah.
make it a big deal.
listen. In this day and age, my coach, who's Kimon,
Come on.
he'll tell you if you aren't actually putting yourself out there, then you're doing yourself a disservice.
Yes.
If you're offering a service, if you're offering whatever you're
Sheesh.
offering, and you don't
Sheesh.
put yourself out there,
You're done.
you're done.
Oh,
You're
man.
right.
Close up shop.
You're right.
Yeah,
Like, just
Like,
There's-
why are you even doing this?
yeah.
Yeah.
It almost gives off this like, I'm not really serious about this.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of
Exactly.
playing around, dabbling
I
a little
agree,
bit.
yeah.
But no, you made it a real thing.
Absolutely.
A good friend of mine, she's getting ready to launch a book, but these posts that she's been posting all along the way, like, big reveal of just the book cover. The
Exactly.
book cover,
Make it a
just the
big
book cover.
deal,
She made
yes.
this big, huge
If
it's
you're
all-
waiting until the book launch to market
It's too
you
late,
are
man.
already
Too
listen.
late.
Ready, Set, Go has happened weeks ago.
She's doing
you've got to do
reading.
it.
She's doing live streams where she's reading an excerpt of the book.
Yes.
That's the way you
on.
do it.
That's
That
how
is
you
what
do
you're
it.
supposed to do.
And if you don't make a big deal out of it, who's going to do
Who's
it for
going
you?
to?
Ain't no-
Listen, I mean, these are the types of things I'm just like, I love it because there's such intentionality behind
Yeah.
it,
Yeah.
and so these activities are not just one and done. They're not in a vacuum. They're part of a fabric,
Correct.
a strategy that when you kind of break it down, you're starting to recognize, oh, okay, that's has to be successful. There's no choice now. You're making these deposits, and over time, those things are going to bloom.
And I think also, people always joke and say, "Oh, you're tooting your own horn." If you're behind the wheel,
Beep, beep.
who else
that
is going
joint.
to toot the horn?
Somebody's going to
That
reach
joint.
over and toot. I mean,
No.
come on now.
You know what I
I
mean?
love that analogy. That's so good.
I won't lie. We have a
that.
T-shirt. I have a T-shirt that says "We don't do humble on the live."
Yep.
And people are. It's very abrasive. Like this, very. Well, the people are either love that T-shirt or they're like, I don't like that. But the reason why we struggle is because we conflate pride and confidence.
Confidence, yeah.
We conflate the two.
That's true.
We think
Yep.
that it's very prideful. No. If somebody can't even tap into what I have to offer if I don't tell them
Yes.
what I
Exactly.
do.
This is what I do.
So that's why I say you can't be humble on the live. You can't be like, oh, I dabble. No, you can't be telling people you dabble. You gotta be like, no, I do this.
This
do
is what I do.
This is it. I'm in my bag when it comes onto this.
Yep.
Yeah.
I love that, man. Thank you. These are. Let me see if I can get to this
Love
last
it.
question here. Help me. The strategy of relatability, right? Life is your content. Kani kind of stole my thunder on some of this
Sorry.
already. No, it's all good. I never give my questions away because I always feel like the organic conversation is better. But you use personal narrative, heritage, motherhood, faith as a core differentiator in your content and to market yourself. And I think this is a really good point for people to recognize from a content perspective and a content strategy. You are the content.
Yeah.
I am the content.
You all you got.
and I'll be really honest, how this started, I know
Yeah.
people are like, oh, my daughter, but my husband and I adopted a daughter.
Come on.
And I did not see this for myself. I thought I was going to retire as a hospital administrator.
chill.
And, I just keep posting my little, but it was actually going through the process of adoption
Wow.
that made me like, oh, I really want to write this book
Yeah.
to let her know and other kids know they're chosen, cherished, and loved.
Love it.
And somehow that began kind of morphing into more stories. And I pulled from my life of being, working in Pathfinders, working in youth.
Yeah.
And more stories started coming out. And yet there was this how not to get hired over here, because when you deal with Pathfinders that are within that
Yeah.
age
Yes.
group,
They're in that
and
bracket.
you see that age
That
of
transition.
kind of how they're
Yeah.
coming out and saying, well, I wanted a summer job. Well, how did you come to the interview? Well, I was wearing and so it kind of
Yes,
morphed
it morphed,
into that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I do kind of include my daughter and sometimes my husband into my posts because it's really to involve
Yeah.
family, right?
Yes.
When you buy children don't have credit cards.
No.
Yeah.
And so parents
No.
also have to see, like,
There it is.
this something that
You-
I can bring into
Yeah.
my home?
You
I'm
just said
going
a whole
to
word right
trust
there.
this
Yeah.
person.
Children
that's
do not
coming
have
into
credit
my
cards.
home.
Help
That's
us.
true.
Yeah,
So
that's gold.
it's gotta be part
Yeah,
of it. So
that's
we're
true.
all coming into each other's homes,
Yeah.
and that's how we do it. So they're gonna see pieces of me. They're gonna see parts of my
Yes.
life.
Of
in
course.
there.
And
Of
the
course.
audience, social media audience, they love that.
Yeah.
Because it
Yeah.
makes you personal. It makes it
It's
real.
It
so.
makes you real. Yeah. They see themselves in you and they recognize like, oh, she gets it.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
She's not just
Especially-
saying this. She has the child. She has
Yeah.
it's relatable.
It's part of your lived
Yeah.
experience. And your child is still in that age group. That's
Yep.
why this is super
It's
relevant to
perfect.
you
Yes.
right
Yeah,
now.
correct.
So you also have proximity to what you're actual
Yes.
subject matter expert on. Such gold, such gold, such gold. I also want to just kind of do a reverse engineer of another, I guess, something that came from content. To be clear, family, as you're listening, the book is content. So
Yes, it
yes,
is.
we're talking about postings in social media, but the book is content.
Yes.
the public speaking is also content.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And then capturing the content as you facilitate a workshop is still content
Correct.
as well.
Listen, I will hand my phone
Oh,
to
come on.
someone and say, "Can you just
grab
take
this.
Just
Exactly,
take some
yes.
pictures,
Mhm.
capture me
Capture.
saying something, just
Oh my
you know what I mean?
word.
And then I'll fix it in the
Yeah,
post.
once you
Like,
can,
I don't care
yeah,
what
yeah,
I gotta
capture,
do
yeah.
to get
Just
that
get
thing.
that content.
Exactly.
Yeah, just it's
Yeah.
the intentionality of recognizing what I'm about to do right now. This is content,
This is
and
content.
I need people to see me in this light. I need people to see me in this way.
Yes.
So just kind of walk us through, if you have another example. So we kind of talked about the how not to get hired and then being at the vendor show, but walk through, let's say, one of the children's book or something to do with it. I don't want to say maybe the book. I don't know. Maybe give us an example, something that happened maybe at a reading or something, but that led to something else and maybe even to something else. So just want to kind of help people to see this trajectory piece. Just another story or example that you
So-
might be able to share.
I'll say this. I have gone from a vending show where I'm selling books again, and I meet a teacher, and she's like, "Hey, can you read for me from, can you do an author reading?" Absolutely. So
Okay.
I'm doing an author reading, and somehow I meet someone else, and she's like, "This would be really great for you to share this with teachers.
Yeah.
Can we then take what you've shared and now present, you're not necessarily presenting the
Nice.
books,
Yeah.
but the importance of empowering
Yes.
Wow.
teachers, educators,
Yes.
and still sharing the positive affirmations
true.
to them. But we're doing it from another angle.
Yes.
And so I've met and sat with teachers and said, okay, here is the
Love
content.
that.
Here are some tidbits that you can use after the book has been read. That you can now take and
Nice.
expound in there, because there's social emotional learning.
Yeah.
in there.
Right.
There are pieces of it that says, how did this make you feel? And so we begin to have that conversation. Now, teachers, I do have I'm not a teacher, but I do have health education
Right.
as part of my degree.
Yeah.
I just don't utilize that part. And so I think
This is what God
I
will do.
love
He'll
it.
kind
Yeah,
of
he'll-
he'll mix
he'll
it
find
all
a way
together.
to
He'll be
mix
like,
it all
I'm
together."
using that too.
but we talk to teachers and educators about the importance of that. Youth leaders, when you think of community organizations and how they have to work with a lot of different children who may be struggling with ADHD, may be struggling with different family dynamics. These are the books that kind of helps bring all of them
those pieces
together
together.
and gives them an understanding.
Yeah.
I will say, after doing that, I met with a lady who is part of a sorority organization, and she was like, "Hey, I'd love for you to read for my organization."
Come
so
on.
it kind of
Wow.
It just
you
kinda
have
goes
to be
down the line there.
open.
Wow.
And so again, it's just being
good.
open to an event. Again, it's not all about money at that
True.
moment.
Yes.
But
It's
just
about
kind of,
just
walking
being
it
able to-
through.
and walking through and being open to kind of pivoting how you present.
True.
I'm still
Yes.
pivoting. I'm still talking about positive affirmation.
Yeah.
I'm still talking about
This is
empowering
that
youth.
thread.
But it's again
In a different
that thread, but in a
format.
different format.
I love
So
and
good.
not being afraid to say, well, it's only for teachers or it's only for
Yes.
kids.
Right.
No, it can be for youth organizations.
Yeah, let
youth
the market
leaders.
tell you
Yeah.
Exactly.
where this thing kind of lands. You put it out there, and this is we've said this on the podcast before. A lot of times, as creators, we want to choose our audience. That's not how it works.
Yeah.
Your audience chooses you. Your job is to put the content out. Audience raises their hand and says, "Hey, that's for me. Hey, that hit home. Hey, thank you for that. Hey, man, that helped me in this way." So being able to understand that is really great, really great and critical as well. We are nearing home. We want to land the plane here, but I want to end with you sharing some things that you guys got going on. But in terms of specific pieces of content that you're putting out right now, you kind of talked about some reels and shorts that you were doing. Of course, we know that you're putting out, recaps of your speaking and different things like that, which is a critical component of content. If you're not doing that, you want to make sure you're doing that. But in terms of direct value for your audience, growing audience online, what are some of the things that you're doing specifically as online content?
Right. So on my YouTube page, I actually am doing 2-minute reels.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
really
That's good.
talks about certain things that are people in general are making mistakes when coming into interviews, whether it's not dressing according to the culture of the job, again, showing up late,
Yeah.
not having any questions, bringing your mom or dad to the interview.
Yes.
Mercy.
Guys,
Don't do
it's
that,
simple
guys.
stuff that people
But that's
may
the
not
content.
realize.
And I did tell the mom, I said, unless I'm hiring 2 for 1,
Yeah.
I'm going to need you to wait in the waiting room.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so you
Hilarious.
kind of talk about these things and
That's
then talk
crazy.
about the recovery. Like you recognize that, or even I always use the analogy of show me the money. If you ever watch Jerry Maguire, and I
Yes.
might be
Show me
aging
the
myself,
money.
show me the
I
money.
love that.
Right? So I
movie.
use that as
No,
content.
you're in the right place for this particular podcast. You're in the right place.
So I use that as an analogy that, hi, my name is Dorian Stewart. Let's talk about salary.
Yeah.
They don't know your skills. They don't know what you're bringing to the table.
Exactly.
We can't talk about money
No.
until we know what you're bringing to the
What you're bringing
table.
to the table, right?
And so it's very important that when you recognize that you make this mistake,
Yeah.
how do you kind of recover from that
Yes.
if it's in the middle of the interview? The other struggle is that, and I always tell this to people when I meet them, is that if you make these mistakes and you say, oh, she's talking baloney, and they hire you anyway, we're not going to pay you
Well,
what you're worth.
yeah.
You understand?
Wow.
So you show up late and you're like, oh, I was only 5 minutes late, but they hired me anyway. You could have gotten this, but guess
true.
what?
Oh, man.
You're getting this.
Wow.
So we're going to pay you less. And I'm telling you, okay?
This is something that
we
happens,
are going,
y'all.
this is what
This-
happens.
this
We
is
pay you
real
less.
life, real life scenarios.
Because at the end of the day, I'm not going to pay you this
Yeah.
and I still have to work to get you to the level that I need you. So you make these mistakes and I take a risk and hire
Yeah.
you, you're going to get paid less.
Wow.
Now you spent the time with
But-
the degrees and you're not getting paid what you're worth.
What? How do you structure that short? I mean, it's 2 minutes. How do you structure that to, like, from a hook standpoint, punchline?
Yeah.
You know, how do you structure it to grab attention and then, of course, make the delivery?
So I'm going to start with the how not to get hired. So
Yeah.
it's going to be
It's
you
the
showed up-
counterintuitive piece.
Yeah, so it's like
Yes.
you showed up late. Why that spoke more than you did,
Ooh,
right?
Yes, I like that.
So
Yeah.
even the
So-
the titling of it, the
Right.
the
And
packaging of
the
it,
packaging of it. And then we talk about, listen, why hiring managers don't want to hire
Yeah.
you showing up 5 minutes late.
yeah. Mercy.
And then you recognize you're late, own it.
Nice.
Don't blame
Yes, don't blame
everything.
some
Don't blame
random
the
thing.
kitchen
Yes.
sink.
Yeah.
Own
Yeah.
it and then ask, can we begin?
I like this.
And then at the very end of that interview, you want to send a thank you note to let them know again.
Yes.
Again, I apologize. This is not a reflection of who I am.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I'm letting you know if you give me a chance, I will be on time. Now be honest and be on time.
So this is gold, absolute gold. So and you know that I can't help myself. You know, 'cause this is Coach Kirk here. This is content. So this is my lane. Now, do you mind if I share a little bit on how to tweak that slightly?
Absolutely.
Because especially because it's short, you want to make sure you almost. It's like a counterintuitive thing. It's like I would almost start by saying, I just want to have a woosah moment with my hiring managers. I'm not talking to any of you guys looking for a job. The people who are looking for a job immediately lean in because it's like, wait, you're talking to her? Listen, PSA, we've got to stop allowing folk to show up late. Like, we should have a zero tolerance for that because blah, 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 blah. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or even to give them a specific scenario, a specific story, and just intertwine that into the content. Oh man,
Yeah, stories always do well.
Yeah.
But it's the
Now, I will
exclusivity
say-
piece of it as well that will. I mean, there is when you say to folks, "I'm not talking to you," it almost immediately
like,
says
"Wait,
like,
I want to know what you're
"Well,
talking about."
well, oh, I'm not a hiring manager, but I want to know, you know, or. Listen, I'm not talking to the hiring managers. I'm just talking to, interviewees right now.
Yeah.
The hiring manager is like, hold up. And then you say something that really is speaking to the hiring manager, but you're saying it for the perspective of the interviewee, like how to identify a bad job. Anyway, stuff like that.
And
I'm just
I
trying
like
to
that.
do something. But,
I
yeah.
also will have to say, I have to give
Come
props
on,
to my
come on,
husband.
come on.
He does do an animation as well in there. And so there's one that's coming up pretty soon about
Let's
how this young
go.
lady, she spills out her drama and they ask, why are you looking for a job? And she goes down this
Ooh, no, yeah.
list of drama.
Oh,
And
no,
what
don't
we
do
want
that.
is not why you're leaving emotionally.
Yeah.
Why are you leaving professionally? And what are you bringing to us? Like, we don't want to know about the boss,
what you've
the coworker
learned over there that you are now going
that
to
you're
take
gonna
and
bring
install
here.
here.
Wow.
Yikes.
right? And
Yes.
so he does this animation that kind of adds to it.
That's
Yeah,
cool.
yeah,
And
yeah.
still keeping it within like under 2 minutes, so it's in and out.
Yeah.
Nice.
And then we're pitching it to teachers to use it in their communications
Yes, that's
departments,
good.
even
That's
if it's just being
You're
used
good.
as extra credit. Like, hey, you watch this, you get extra credit, you know. And so really just putting it out to
I like
various
that.
schools so that
You
they're
got-
getting
you-
a chance to.
you're- everything that you do really kind of takes the trajectory
Love
of, okay,
it.
where will this end up? Where will this go?
Yes.
What are some of the opportunities that will be on the back end of this? And this is what I mean. When we started with that definition, I'm going to read it yet again as we get ready to land here. You want to make sure that you're saying the same thing 1,000 ways,
Yes.
not necessarily saying 1,000 things the same way. You know what I'm saying? Effective branding is about consistent repetition of a single core message across different mediums and contexts. You don't need to make up something brand new every
Yeah, you
single
don't.
time
No.
you create content. And even though, all right, now I'm going to write a book. What am I going to write? No, it's what is your recurring
Yes.
theme? Take it into this other format. Okay, now we're doing animated shorts that are going to be used in, it's the same theme. It's the same thing. Personal
it.
affirmation. I love that. Dorian, you've done such a phenomenal job. We can't thank you enough for coming and hanging out today. Where can people find you, follow you? What are the next projects that you have coming up for Dorian Inspires?
Yeah, so you can find me at www.dorianinspires.com
Yep.
or on my social media. That would be Instagram,
Come
LinkedIn
on.
is Dorian.inspires. So Facebook, all of them is Dorian.inspires.
Let's go. Same handle on all the
Same
platforms.
handle across all platforms.
Cha-ching.
And then the other thing is that this month is pretty busy. So I will be speaking to North Carolina A&T.
Let's go. That's awesome.
On a panel about interviewing
Love
to
it.
Love
college
it.
students. I am also preaching in Washington State.
Come on.
In about 2 weeks. I'm excited about that.
Wow.
And in the afternoon, we're going to do a Christian spin on interviewing. And the importance of teaching our young people, even in church, about how to talk effectively, the
Yes.
communication
This is
skills,
dope.
and then
Yes.
being able to then transition those same skills that you learn in church
Yeah.
To-
into the workspace.
that's
Yeah.
so good.
And I always tell pastors, listen, if you get zero money, that equals zero tithes times
Zero.
Yes, true.
10% of
Yeah.
zero
It's
is
still zero.
Zero. Yeah.
So if you think that it's not important,
It's critically important.
It's critically very important.
The math,
that's gold.
the math works.
The math works.
I think
And
everybody
so-
can understand that one.
Exactly.
God
And
is
so
so
I have a couple
practical.
of events for Jack and
Nice.
Jill. So I'll
Oh,
also be
good.
doing
Nice.
some different events as
Okay, that's
well.
awesome.
And so just really just trying to kind of zone in on either working on children's content, but and also eventually we're gonna turn my books into Spanish and
Okay.
Haitian Creole.
Okay.
So my
That's
children's
awesome.
books, all the
Yes.
books, because again, I want to be able to make sure that a lot of kids
wide,
Yes.
wide array.
wide-
Yeah.
That's
just go ahead
awesome.
and
I
expand
love
the
it.
range. And
Yeah.
so children of who speak Spanish or
Yes.
Haitian Creole or
That's
French
so
can also get the
awesome.
same positive affirmations.
Love it.
Man,
Love it.
man, that is so dope. Man, even as you're sharing some of what you got going on over the next month or two and some of the new things that you're going to be bringing on, there's still some nuggets of wisdom I hope people are catching there. Like you gotta be thinking intentionally about where can this fit in somebody else's ecosystem. And you also want to be able to package things in a way that's super practical. If you want to get into speak at a church, you got to know what that pain point is and speak that
Yes.
language. That's so good. And it's like the 0 times 10%. That's just so perfect.
Yeah.
But anyway, man, this has been another episode of the How It All
Yes.
Works podcast. What a time we've had here today. I hope that you kind of see that common thread. You do not have to reinvent the wheel every single time. Once
Yeah.
you've landed on that thing, you should be able to kind of trace it through multiple different types of content and contexts and even mediums. We're always excited to have you guys come through and hang out with us. I want to say a word of thanks for those who regularly watch and comment below. And if you had some questions or something stood out to you, we want to encourage you to do that. Just share that with us in the comments below. We are also looking for more of you to join the community. The How It All Works community is a community specifically designed to help you win with content. If you're trying to figure out, you don't want to try to figure it out on your own, you're trying to go it alone. You heard her talk about being in coaching. Listen, it's the ultimate cheat code. For those that really want to be serious about this thing, would love for you to be able to join us. Take one of the 90-minute challenges that we have, or just join at the $9 level and kind of test the waters, see what you think it's all about, and then begin asking some questions, do a discovery call. We'd love to be able to engage with you in that way. But as I mentioned before, one of the things we do on this show is we want to make sure you kind of see the puzzle pieces fit together, peek behind the veil a little bit. We want to make sure that you have that light bulb moment where it starts to click. And essentially, we want to make sure you're able to figure out how it all works. And we will see you, family, in the next one.